Well, here we are, back again, and surprise, it's my project I've been talking about. So there's actually a little idea right here. I should be able to preserve that. As I have to slab off a fair bit of material here on this block. And also got to take off a fair bit of material on this one to get down to that lovely Priscy. So this is going to test me. You can see the other half of the Priscy right here, that brown line right here, and then back over here. And then I got a chunk that popped out while out digging this. That is up on my shelf. That will get glued back in place once I'm ready to put the two halves together. Or actually, the two halves will go back together, and then I'll put the piece back in place. More than likely, I'll use the either thick super glue to get it set in place, or maybe I'll just use a fair bit of Magic Sculpt, the epoxy putty I ordered. And then I had another piece right here. It's actually already loose that I need to glue back in place before I start prepping. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to put, I think, this plate back on the shelf. And what I'm going to try to do is thin out this plate to get most of this overburden down. So there's maybe a 1/4 inch of stone above the Priscy. Probably won't do any prep tonight. It's already late. But we'll see. We'll see if I can get that down. If I can get it down to a 1/2 inch above, I'd be happy. A 1/4 inch would be ideal. Just so I'm not spending ages eating my material. And then all I'll do is I'll prep all this fish out, set that aside, seal it, you take glue back in place, prep it as well, yada yada. Set this aside, come back over to this beast. Again, I'll try to split off the top layers, look for other fish. Who knows, there might be another fish in here. Could be a, who knows. So, carefully split this off to, again, within a 1/4 inch or so of that fish layer, which actually are pretty close, so I don't want to split too much. Prep from here over, actually here over. The fish should, and probably right about here, really close to the edge. Hopefully it doesn't go out. I don't think it will. Get that prepped. Everything, I'm going to actually then get an MDF board, probably 3/4 inch, which I actually have in my garage. Lay these two halves on it, get them lined up. Some super thick CA from a midpoint down, bond it together. I'm going to clamp it, leave it overnight, let it cure, and then come in on the seam, and I'll fill the seam as well as I can with the epoxy putty with probably ground limestone to go in it for color. So that's the plan. I'm pretty excited. It's definitely it can be a nice Priscy if I can do this. This is a little more complex than anything I've done before, but it should be fun, a learning adventure. And regardless, I'll at least have two halves of a really cool excuse me, really nice Priscy. I've actually got a Priscy in my collection that I'm framing, but it is only about a 4.5, 5 inch. I suspect this little feller is going to be closer to 8 to 10 inches, which will definitely put it on the bigger end of what I've got. So almost double the size of what I've got. So hopefully I can get it turned out, and I'll bring you guys along for the ride. I don't know if this will be one big long video. I'm thinking probably not so much. And already my intro is 5 minutes. So I apologize for the jaw jack, and I will set up a camera and let you see how the splitting goes. Here we go. Well, I think this is it for the night. Pretty decent success. So I got the 1/2, the one I started with, thinned out pretty nicely. Didn't really damage the fossil, which is good. So, and I glued it back in place, the one piece right here. So I'll prep this matrix off down to the fossil, hopefully. That's the plan, at least. And here's actually a piece right here. I'll have to break this back apart, clean up the backside a little bit. I did some field prep, not the best, but that will go back right in this space there. And this actually goes right in here as well. So that'll go back in here once I get this all prepped and sealed. Then I'll work on this part separate. And actually, I might even do that after I combine the two halves. And then, not as lucky with thinning out this half. Didn't damage anything, but I did inadvertently remove most of the backer stone, which is kind of my key, my alignment key to the other plate. So I stick super glue, 4 clamps, everything's looks like it's pretty well registered where it should be. So fingers crossed it still lines up. But what I'll do is I'll leave about 1/4 inch of matrix here on the edge and prep that way, get the head exposed, get all that prepped, recombine this plate with the other one, and then I'm gonna have to thin it, and hopefully I can split on that glued line again. I don't know. I didn't think about it. Maybe I should have left it that way. Yeah. Anyway, we'll figure it out when we get there. But that's it for tonight. This is a long video. My apologies, but I'm gonna end it off, and this will be a multi-video series, I think. So, but here we go. Project, or what should I call it? Operation Priscy. So, but I'm excited to see what it turns out, and hopefully it looks as good as I envision. And yeah, hopefully I don't screw it up much more. So, adios.